All right, we're live. Hello, everyone. Good evening and a warm welcome to all at MUFC Red Devils NCR. This is Delvin, and I'm joined today with Paratosh Bhai, Saim Bhai, and Vaibhav alongside me. Good evening, gentlemen. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing fine. And I think the United juggernaut keeps rolling. We are churning out wins after wins after wins, and the Ten Hag bandwagon is there for everyone to see, both in terms of performances, in results, and in style of play as well. This is our eighth successive win in all competitions, and the spirits are high as ever entering into the very crucial Manchester derby, which is this weekend. We're all looking forward to that, and we hope that our winning run continues. At the same time, it gives us enough to put a statement to the Premier League that we are here not just to make numbers in the top four, but to be very serious contenders in the top four sweepstakes, and possibly even more coming to April or May, depending upon how the season pans out until then. Before we talk about that, let's talk about the game against Charlton yesterday. Another clean sheet, another win at Old Trafford, and we are in the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. The first team to make the semi-finals, after which Newcastle joined us in the semi-finals. So, Saim Bhai, welcome to the stream. Let's talk about the Charlton game. What were your thoughts on the performance yesterday or last night? Were you happy with the performance, or were you happy with the result but not happy with the performance? What were your thoughts? What can you sum up your thoughts about the performance yesterday?
Average performance, not so good, not so bad, but happy with the result. As usual, we got the job done. We are into the semis again, and hopefully, let's see who we get in the draw. Today is the draw, I suppose. Yeah, so I hope we get to the very last, and let's hope for the best. Although the performance was just average for me.
Well, fair enough. Although at the end of the day, it's not the performance but the result that matters. And as long as we get the win, I think that's enough cause for optimism and around the side. So coming to Weber, let's talk about some of the key performances in the game. I think let's talk about Anthony for example. Let's start with the opening goal score. Let's talk about Anthony. So this is his second goal straight after coming back into the side after being dropped for a short while. Do you think there is an element of do you think there's an element of sawdust or magic dust that is going around, that whichever player Ten Hag drops from the side comes back into the side with a vengeance and then puts in constant good performances game week in, game week out, and then that makes it much more difficult for the others to get in, which indirectly automatically spurs them on to put in great performances as well. So, do you think Ten Hag has the perfect idea of when to drop a player and when to put that player back in? Because obviously, you can see that Anthony is not the first player who has benefited from this. We've seen Luke Shaw put in 9 out of 10 performances day in and day out after coming back into the side. We've seen Scott McTominay do the same thing. We've seen Harry Maguire do that to a certain extent. I will not say he's putting in 8 out of 10s or 9 out of 10s, but he is putting in assured performances. While if you would put the same Harry Maguire of last season, you would definitely know that this is an accident waiting to happen. Even Aaron Wan-Bissaka is a surprise name that you can say that he's been putting great performances ever since he's walked into the side. So, what do you make of Anthony's performance, and what do you think about Ten Hag's ability to know the perfect time as to when to put a player out of the firing line and when to seamlessly put him back again?
Dylan, first of all, thank you, everybody. You talk about the sawdust factor, that magical sawdust, somewhat from the Disney movies. I just call it good managing skills, right? A good manager knows when to drop his players. A good manager knows when his players need a bollocking, right? I mean, previous years we've seen managers having favorites, playing the same 13, 14 players again and again relentlessly without any sort of risk factor. Those players do not basically have any fear of whether if they perform bad or they perform good, they're going to be playing, right? But with Ten Hag, I think first of all, look, any manager for that matter, if you're buying a player worth 85 million from an Eredivisie, that expensive player, you would want him to play again and again, again and again, right? Because I mean, come on, as a manager, you are stubborn, right? You want your things to be right. We saw Ollie playing Maguire again and again, because it was his most expensive centre back, and because we didn't really have anyone out there, right? But somebody like a Ten Hag dropped Anthony. He even dropped Anthony, bought in Garnacho, and he bought in Elanga and all these people, right? Because he understood, what, maybe for Anthony right now, this league or this whole setup, this whole new environment could be a bit relentless. Maybe it would do him a world of good if he works on his game, stays back, put those extra yards in, in the sessions, and maybe I could work with him, right? So that's what's changed. The likes of wan-bissaka, Luke Shaw. I'm not saying they do not have a future here, but again, nobody's a guaranteed sure starter. I mean, uh, prior to Donny van der Beek's injury, he got more game time than Scott McTominay. I mean, it's 2023, and you won't believe me saying this, right? I mean, so far, Donny van der Beek considerably had better of a game time than Scott McTominay. Because it's simple. I'm sure Ten Hag does not see McTominay as in that level, or maybe he thinks he needs to do some work with him. So I think, look, as a manager, I think Tanag is absolutely flawless. He just knows when to drop his player and how to work with that player. He sent Sancho to Netherlands, to work with the coaches, to work his way of playing. About Anthony, look, I think there was a lot of ridiculing about his price tag, right? Even I do not agree. I think we overpaid for him. But then again, look, it's not up to the manager, right? It's not up to the player. The player didn't go and tell the board, you know what, you have to sign. If you want to sign me only for 85 million, right? It was the board who got embarrassed, you know. But I still think Anthony would be a very, very good player. I mean, I've loved these flair players, the likes of Ryan Giggs, Ronaldo, Nani. I mean, I'm not comparing Anthony to those. I'm not comparing Anthony to them. Those players, who cut in, you know, running down the wing, cutting in, squaring past one or two people and all that. So I think that's what makes him special, right? It's not with players like Anthony, you would get that moment of brilliance, which you rely upon a lot sometimes, in crunch situations and in situations which you'll be facing in, maybe a knockout stage. So I think Anthony would be a great success, and he's very, very crucial for going ahead, especially in the next 2 months, where we could potentially, win a trophy. Let's not kid ourselves. We could potentially win this thing, right? And we could end that curse of, not winning a trophy. So I think, yeah, Anthony, absolutely flawless. I think he'll be key.
I think you've eloquently put forward, how this is good management, but it could be it also there. I mean, for the romantics, it's also a matter of having a certain Midas touch, because at this point in time, I don't see Eric Ten Hag doing anything wrong. He's bringing the style back. He's bringing the substance back as well. So all in all, this is a pretty promising time to be a fan, and let's hope that continues. Paltosh bhai, let's talk about some of the other players who were there. So yesterday we seen two new faces get their
Okay, go.
debuts in the side. So we had Kobe Mainu make his debut for the first team, and then we had Facundo Pellistri officially make his debut 2.5 years after joining the club. So, what do you make of the performances of both these players? Let's start with Mainu first. I mean, he's been one of those midfielders who has been highly touted in the youth system. There was a lot of chatter in and around the club that he would be getting his due diligence sometime soon. And yesterday he did get it. So, what did you make of his performance yesterday?
I think Mino was very crucial. He was the one player we were talking about in the pre-game pod as well. When I was live, there was talk from one of the members, Sandeep Bhai, to be specific. He was the one who put his name forward that Mino is a player who should start. He should get a chance, and he got the chance, and he performed really well. Coming to Pellistri, everybody really hyped him up when he was about to join. Even Romano was like, "This one is for the future," and we weren't able to see much of him in the past few years that he has been signed to the club. But now that we see him, there is quality there. There is definitely some potential to become a player who could be crucial to the team. And same goes for Mino. So it's good to see young players coming forward and performing really well when given a chance. And these are the kind of players that provide relief to players like Christian Eriksen, or to players like Bruno Fernandes, because these players are not going to play the 50 odd games week in, week out, 2 games per week. That's not going to happen. These guys are going to play like 40, 30, 5 games, but you need these players for the 10, 15 games remaining. And these players, if they are firing well, uh, could very well provide that base for the perfect 11 to shine in the moments when we require them to. Talking about Marcus Rashford, we were talking about him before the game. There's talk about him after the game because the form he's in is sensational. He is finally living up to the talent that he has. And uh, United are good. We can only talk good about them right now. Although there is this silver lining to the good as well. We talk about silver lining for the bad. There's silver lining for the good as well because there's no other striker, no other player who is scoring regularly. Although Anthony has scored in 2 games, but he has not been firing for the past few games before that. So we can't be fully reliant on Marcus Rashford as well. Other players also need to chip in with the goals. Casemiro has been sensational, but how long will he play? Will he play every game? Do we want him to play 50 odd games for us? So we need a CDM to come in place of Casemiro as well. So these are some points that need to be looked upon. But United are playing well. They are dominating games. We just need to convert our chances. We need to be crucial. We need to be very efficient when it comes to being uh, being clinical in the final third, and that is something that we need to look upon.
Yeah, I think that has been a recurring theme in spite of the convincing victories that we've got. You know that we've had a handful of chances to put the games to bed, but unfortunately, due to some reason or another, we've not been able to do so. I think yesterday was a similar case where the game was locked at 1-0 around at still at around what 80 odd minutes or something like that, and then Rashford comes in and just simply puts the game to bed with 2 chances. By speaking about Rashford and Casemiro, both of them came in as substitutes, and it was they both that completely changed the outcome of the game. I mean, Casemiro, I think when he was signing for
Guys,
us.
I'll take your leave. Sorry, I'll take your leave right now. I have to go. But it was great talking to you. We'll talk again really soon in the longer version of the pod as well.
Sure, sure,
And
sure, sure.
you guys continue, and someone else will join really, really soon. Thank you so
Sure,
much.
sure. Take care, Parthosh. Bye. Good to have you here. Yeah. So, Sain, by talking about Casemiro, we're speaking of Casemiro, while his signing was made official, there were long-standing questions about his potential or his ability to carry the ball or with the ball at his feet. I mean, there was a lot of chatter about him not being up to the standards. He's amazing off the ball, but equally sketchy and dodgy off the ball. He's currently making a mockery of that assumption. I mean, look at the passes that he's put. Some of the passes in the last 2 to 3 games. I mean, you'd be surprised that if Casemiro is bad with the ball, then might as well be bad. If this is bad, then I would love to see what good is. I mean, is there anything better than this? Also, yes, please show us, because right now, Casemiro is the perfect equivalent of a Rolls Royce. He's just effortless. He's just smooth, and he has that royal gait, that royal presence about him. Whenever he has the ball at his feet, like you could pinpoint him exact moment he receives the ball. That's how much he stands out. Like how big, how was the impact that these two guys brought into the side in the middle of the game?
They completely changed the approach to our game yesterday because I thought before they came in that we were going to see this out at 1-0. But as soon as they came, it just became imminent that I was pretty sure that Rashford would score because, you know, even if they don't talk about it, but he has that one record in his mind. I think yesterday when he scored, it was his eighth home goal consecutively. So he leveled up with Wayne Rooney, and now when he goes to score ninth, he would be, a long-standing record is due with Dennis Wallet, which was set up in I think 1959. So ninth consecutive home games in a row. So that is the record which he is eyeing, and I'm pretty sure the next home game he will score again. So Rashford, the form is, and I wasn't, doubting him not to score. So it was pretty sure he would score. Talking about Casemiro, so one so-called pundit which comes into my mind is the Merseyside, the irrelevant Merseyside club's so-called legend. His name is Grim Souness. So he was the particular one who was just talking about Casemiro, that he won't be able to put his stuff. It's all behind. Real Madrid have again given us a player who is just finished. So he's just sticking it to him, game after game, day after day, and it's pretty good feeling.
So, Saimba, you're saying that Rashford is definitely scoring in the next go home game. So does that mean we captain him in the FPL?
I don't go with me, please. I don't know what to do in FPL, really. Yeah, talking about
because
it, I think the next home game is coming in our double game week, right?
it is the derby. So that's what I'm
And
saying.
yeah, and it is the double game week for us. No, 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 it's not.
Yes, it is.
No.
It is. It is. It is. It is the double game week. It is the
Okay,
double game
okay,
week. It's City and Crystal Palace. Yeah.
okay.
So
Then
all the guys who are watching this and who are FPL enthusiasts, Saimba has given his approval that Marcus Rashford is going to score in the Manchester derby. So please have him in your side. Sign his seal of approval. And if not, so please don't do that. So we have Ojas Bhai on the stream with us. Ojas Bhai, first of all, warm welcome to you. Hope you're doing well. So Ojas Bhai, coming to the game only. Now that the quarterfinals is done and we're officially into the semifinals of the Carabao Cup, how much do you rate our chances now? Because with us, Newcastle have made their entry into the semifinals. So two teams are already done. We have two more games tonight, which will finally determine the lineup of the semifinals. So for now, how do you rate our chances of going all the way in this trophy?
See, although there is a lot of improvement that needs to be done in converting chances that I saw in the game in past few games, but um I'm pretty confident that we are growing defensively. So what happens is when you start gaining confidence in your defense, then you start trying more attacking wise. So earlier, what used to happen is when the defense is weak, you're always scared to try that, the crazy pass we used to say, that crazy pass, if we lose the ball, what our defense will do. Now, when the defense is stable and we are attacking, then we will be pretty much taking the risks again, and that will improve the gameplay in the forward line. If this is how we function, that we hold our defense, then we can tackle the City team. But for the Newcastle team that is already qualified, which City has to qualify, I guess. Newcastle team is a team that that is playing on the ego of other clubs right now. See, when a, a Saudi group, I don't know which group has bought Newcastle, when a big group buys a club like that, you expect like 100 million signings, 120 million signings. They haven't done big signings, or you should say heavy signings. They've brought the right players at the right price. And now other teams don't have an excuse that they have not overspent. How are they playing so well? And to be honest, supporters of other clubs have to see that it is also very good team management by Eddie Howe. And teams, when they are performing so well with the squad that they have got available, imagine Newcastle investing another 200 in summer. So this is just good team management, and I'm pretty sure Newcastle is a team that we have to prepare a lot. City, we know what will happen. It can go either way. I have always believed that the Manchester derbies from now on, till Pep is in charge, till Pep doesn't leave City, it will always have a scenario that it can go either way. Either it is 5-1 to United or 1-6 to City. It can go either way. But Newcastle is a team that I really don't want to face in the semi final. If we avoid Newcastle in the semi final, because their lack of experience in finals, they have not appeared in finals for past 10 to 12 years. There we can tackle the mentality of the players. But in semi-final, I don't want to face Newcastle. That is my reasoning. And we will have a very good chance.
Fair enough, Ojas bhai. So we have a lot of people on stream who are putting on their comments. So warm welcome to you guys on the stream. Amit bhai says the next three games are the real test, and rightly so. We all as fans believe that the next two games at least are the ultimate threshold to see where this team stands at. And Kushagra says that it's nice to see some new faces in the game, alongside putting out a statement saying that Garnacho is one for the future. Very interesting. We would love to see how that pans out. And Saim Bhai says that Ojas Bhai has been sleepy since watching yesterday's game. I mean, we all are. We all are. I mean, 1:30 to 3:30 is a very, very, very late timing for us. But then at the end, if it's a win, then sabka suna maaf, and we move. With that being said, Webber, let's talk about the transfer window now. We are 11 days into the transfer window, and the paucity of money that is there is known for everyone to see, which is why we've been exploring cut price loan deals across the market. Joao Felix was offered to us, but we rightly balked out at his salary demands, and also because of the concern of the stylistic fit. Would he be able to, provide much of an impact or an impetus into the side? Would he make the side better? So on and so forth. So with that being said, we've some reports have been coming out that we have finally struck an agreement with Wout Weghorst, who's currently at Besiktas on loan from Burnley. And if we're almost there, the only thing left to do is that Burnley and Besiktas cancel their agreement, which paves the way for Weghorst to join us. Now, truth be told, before Weghorst came to Burnley, not a lot of people were familiar with him while he was at the Bundesliga. But ever since the World Cup, he shot into prominence with those two goals, one of them being very smartly executed from a free kick. So, Weber, let's talk about Wout Weghorst for a bit. I mean, what do you make of the signing first? Do you think that he would be an ideal fit for the likes of Martial or even for the likes of Rashford to play off? And are you happy with that signing?
Look, I think it's personally, to be very honest with you, the signing, the quality of the player, I mean, maybe because he's a Burnley player, he's from that lower club, does not really fill me with that much of confidence, right? But then again, it's Eric Ten Hag who's pushed for the signing. I wouldn't say push for the signing, he's been given the option that, you can loan out a player, we can get a player on loan because of financial restrictions. So who would you go for? As you put rightly, your Felix had I think ridiculous wage demands, you know. But I still think it could have been a good deal, some having somebody like a Felix, with an option, because he could play anywhere, right? He could play left, right, center, mid. So I felt your Felix was a good option. I mean, I have seen his stats. People have been, telling me his pressing stats are very, very good, and I can see why Ten Hag has really bought him. That Dutch connection is there, and look, I think Weghorst as a player, I think right now he would want to come here to Manchester United and prove a point, right? I mean, it could be a very, very good opportunity for him. Like, let's just say if I'm Wout Weghorst, I'm seeing what I can achieve in this career in this year, right? I'm in all the trophies. If I play an important role in winning the club a trophy, who knows? I can earn a good 2-year contract here, or if not a contract, who knows? Maybe a decent club, maybe somebody like a Newcastle or maybe some mid-table club could come and buy me. So, from players' point of view, also it's very important. It's not an Odion Igalo deal, where both the parties, one party which is United have a very easy payday, and where Igalo is just a stopgap plaster signing, right? Here is a player who could have that potential hunger, right? And we've seen it. He demands that hunger from his players. When he comes out, when a manager comes out from the in the press conference stating top four means nothing. It's about winning the whole thing. That just shows you what sort of players he wants, right? We may not want him. We may even say, what, why are we going for Wood horse? We should go and take some other striker, this other striker. But I think we need to give Ten Hag that benefit of the doubt, right? We've been talking about United. We've been talking about the scintillating problem. United not shopping or looking in the wider European prospect, right? Finally we have a manager. Okay, not exactly European prospect, but he is signing these non-British players. You know, which we've had so much ridiculing problems before. He's not necessarily paying those British taxes, right? Like, let's just say if we go down to Aston Villa and ask Danny Ings for a loan, I mean, and I can pretty much imagine how traumatic it's going to end, right? So I think it's a good, decent signing. Um, I just worry about the fact that is he up to it? Because look, I mean, we may say, what, this season is about getting top four and perhaps winning a trophy. But look, I mean, playing for United is relentless, right? There is this huge burden of expectations, right? That Old Trafford crowd, it can be very, very vulnerable. We saw with Dubravka what happened, right? He was basically shivering in the middle of the sticks, right? So we've seen those expectations. So I just hope that he does not get plowed upon those expectations. I mean, as an international, as a professional, you shouldn't, but you just never know. I mean, I trust Ten Hag. I'm sure he would take out the best. He would get the best out of him. And yeah, I mean, let's fingers crossed. But again, I would say I would have rather preferred Memphis. Memphis could have been a good shout out. I felt Memphis after your Felix would have been a good shout out. So my personal opinion.
Finally, someone who echoes my sentiments of having Memphis in the club, for which I'm totally glad and grateful. I was all because I always found Memphis to have some sort of unfinished business at the club, and him coming in and making things right would certainly be a step in the right direction for him in a career that he's already made a lot of progression from ever since he joined United. So with that being said, we made another signing signed by Jack Butland, Crystal Palace, another loan till the end of the season. What do you make of that signing, and do you think he's going to get minutes in his belt? Because Martin Dubravka was bought on loan, and the only action he got was where that one game where he almost shat himself. So, what are your thoughts on the Butland signing, and do you think he's going to get the required minutes?
I think yes, he would be getting it, but depends on how crucial the tie is because if we are going for see the domestic cups like domestic silverwares, we won't be targeting Europa especially after the Barcelona game, Barcelona tie. So I think they would be getting minutes, but not that much what we are thinking because see, as we are progressing into the season, there will be only crucial ties. So I don't think Eric Ten Hag trusts them with the crucial ties. And also regarding the previous signing which we're talking about, Weghorst, so which is going to happen hopefully soon. So Weghorst, I like as a player because since his Dutch league days, he was in Alkmaar, I guess. Yeah. So from Alkmaar to Wolfsburg to Burnley. See, Burnley, his season weren't that great because of the style of play which Burnley has, especially after Sean Dyche left. He got only, I think, half of a season with Sean Dyche.
6 months.
Yeah, so with Sean Dyche, he would have been a different beast there. But without Sean Dyche, their gameplay has been just defensive, and it's not a player to play in a defensive side. He brings that you know see he's number 9 which bring other people into the game as well, so he would be a present at the top and he would also be bringing players into the game, so I have high hopes from him. Yeah, and Felix, I really feel sorry to uh, go just the opposite of Vaibhav, but I didn't think it was the right signing for us because we don't need a player who could play in every position. We just needed a number 9 just for completing the season. So I think Vegas is a better signing than Felix.
Yeah, I was also in the same point. I did not fight, not because we want a particular position, but it's just that I don't feel Joao Felix is a stylistic fit for the club. So special shout out to Sir Alex. He's here. Hi, Sir Alex. And Ronaldo is your. Oh, please do not bring him anywhere back near the club, because if you do, you might as you also please stay home only, uh, because uh, we've had enough of Ronaldo now. Mojosa says that with all due respect, I wouldn't touch Memphis Depay with a barge pole, but that's his opinion. Fair enough, sir. You have your reasons, and they are justifiable. We had this conversation earlier as well. But I certainly feel that Memphis would have got something more. But again, that's just my opinion. Weghorst has more club career goals than Depay in identical appearances. Very interesting, Nikhil bhai, that you brought that up. But it was one Dutch or another, and we ended up getting a Dutch striker anyways. So I think that's a win-win as far as United and Ten Hag are concerned, with the way we've recruited. Ojis bhai, let's talk about the coming games. I mean, we have Man City and Arsenal, and I think in a recent press conference, uh, the other Baldy of Manchester, spoke about having certain things to do on in his sleeve, and he has some quote ridiculous ideas that he wants to try, starting from the United game. So first of all, what are your thoughts on what he said about having some ridiculous ideas that he wants to try? I mean, if he wants to try Haaland that go as a goalkeeper, please go ahead and be my guest. I would happily love that. If he's not giving us goal points, at least give a clean sheet. Give us clean sheet points. That's as long as you are not bagging against us, it's fine. Or if you want to put anyone else as striker, please go ahead and do that. If you want to play with kids, go ahead and do that as well. As long as we get the 3 points, do anything that floats your boat. So it's fine by me. But what do you make of the statements that he said, Ojas by? I mean, is this something?
Hmm.
And he also spoke about not watching the past few United games.
Yeah, see, when I was growing up, I didn't used to watch football. I used to watch cricket. And this Guardiola guy used to remind me when he came to Manchester City with his press conferences of Ricky Ponting. The mind games that both of them play before any fixture, any big fixture. I just have to, relate it with how Ricky Ponting used to manipulate everyone in the room. That although we have won 3 trillion World Cups in the history of the game, but we are not the favorites. I guess this team is favorite. We will play this way, that way. It is just a method. It's just a way to use media as your weapon. It's something that has been happening for long, and what he meant to say was the crazy ideas that he had was the crazy ideas that he is already using slowly into the team. We saw Haaland not being part of the Chelsea game, and still City were able to win the game very comprehensively. So the crazy idea is always when a manager usually says that it's to keep the other person, just dancing on the field. Like let the other managers guess what I will be doing with my tactics. It is a simple mind game which can be decoded easily who has been following Guardiola for past 6, 7 years. So really don't think that there is an out of the window idea coming from Guardiola. It is something that we have to be very mindful that when United defense starts leaking, it leaks horribly. And there has to be a composure, there has to be a standard in the team that if they, because it will happen. If somehow City get a goal, you just cannot let them dominate you for another 80 minutes or 90 minutes if they get an early goal. Just try to come back in the game. First, try to come back mentally, then physically, and then just try to nick back a goal. Because once the score is equal, you can just Again, it can go anyway. I believe from now derbies will go anyway. If City is winning 2-0, maybe United will win 5-2 in the second half. If United is winning 3-0, maybe City will draw 3-3 at the end of 90. Because this is what the craziness is going to happen in derby now. But this is just pure, pure mind games for me. And I'm pretty sure ETH is ready for the Man City game.
It's
Yes.
interesting. It's interesting with the way you gave the examples of both United and City, because when United was losing, they won 5-2, but when United was winning, they only ended up drawing. So very subtle there. I see what you did there, Rogers Bhai, and I personally like it. I personally enjoyed that, but that's a very smart observation that you've made. So I am totally on board with that. So Vaibhav Joshi, welcome to the stream. First of all, Vaibhav Joshi speaks about why is United always going for a striker who will last for a minimum of 1 to 3 seasons, and not for someone who will be a potentially long serving player. So his question right now is Ten Hag looking for the academy, or as we fail to attract players as a club? So I'll take this one. I think it's a mixture of both. Because if the past few weeks are to anything to go by, we've seen Eric Ten Hag take control of the under 21s, which basically opens more avenues and more pathways for other players to stake a claim to be part of the first team. And we failing to attract players should not be a new story right now. We've been failing to attract a lot of players ever since the Glazer ownership has reached its absolute worst. We've had a lot of players reject us for greener
Delvin bhai,
pastures.
I would like to twist the question to you. I would like to twist this question to you when you say that we have failed to attract players. I think attracting players is not a problem. I think closing the deals, just
Exactly. That's what it is. Yes.
completing the deals, like in this Gakpo situation only. Like I think that way you can explain it better. Like we can attract Mbappe also, but can we complete
But
that deal?
that's the issue. That is the biggest issue. I mean, we are not able to get the deal to the finishing stages. I think it happened with Reguilon as well. But I think that's one signing which I'm happy that didn't go over the line, considering the absolute shithole he's been through ever since he joined Spurs. So I think that's all right. But we've seen instances of players where we've monitored them, kept tabs, closed interest, this, that, and all, and at the end there is no deal done, which has been a big issue. So that is why the names monitoring FC, closely interested FC, looking at options FC have been making the rounds. So that's how it has been. I mean, uh, player pull is not an issue. Players convincing the player to get the deal done is the biggest issue that has been plaguing us over the years. Uh, so now we've spoken about the derby. We've spoken about the Charlton game. So I'd spoken to Sainbai and Joshua on a previous stream, where we spoke about the expectations of the club, our expectations of what is the club going to be at the end of this month. So I had said that we'd win both cup competitions, which means we would make it to the next stage of our competitions, and we stay unbeaten, but we draw one of the big games. So Vaibhav, you weren't there, and Ojis by you also. So Vaibhav, what is your assumption in these next two games? Do you see us winning both? Do you see us winning and drawing one each? Do you see us drawing both? And do you see the worst possible scenario happening? What is your? I'm not saying the worst possible. I'm not going to say it out loud, but Weber, you know what the worst possible scenario is. So what
Weber
are your?
say Weber say the funny thing, we will win against City and Arsenal and lose to Crystal Palace.
Well, with the old United, I would have, but look, I think I cannot imagine a worst case scenario under Eric Ten Hag. I mean, yes, we got hammered in that City game, and touchwood, that was a movie screening which happened, which we organized, and this time again we're organizing a movie screening. So I hope this time we end up on a better note. But I think, look, from that game, we've improved massively, right? With the players also, we've had a very very good start. I mean, we've had a very very good season after that game, right? The players are built budget. The players are chuffed with confidence. And like, let's not forget the Ronaldo scenario. Maybe behind the scenes was going on, but you know what? Any player, let's take an example of Marcus Rashford. Okay, players at this stage, they're not. It's not that they become bad players or something. When you have the likes of 23 years old, 24-year-old players, they're not bad players essentially. A lot of times it's a confidence factor. And at this moment of time, let me again give a cricket example like Ojas Bhai. Everyone knows about the Ricky Ponting Australian team, right? I mean, they did have skills and qualities, but one very important thing which they had was they killed the opposition with confidence. They had that spirit of, what, we're never going to lose a game. Come what may be. Maybe we will be in a turmoil situation. Maybe it'll be a tight neck situation, but we'll come out winning. I sort of see that mentality reflected in this squad currently. David De Gea. I mean, just look at the back four. For every tackle, they go out there, they congratulate each other, right? Small battles. The small battles they win, they congratulate each other. They keep the tempo up. They keep the tempo going. So there is this massive difference. And look, look, I think we're gonna win all the three games. Like Moyo sir said on the chat, I think we'll win City. It's at Old Trafford. If I'm the manager, if I'm Eric Ten Hag, I'm gonna it's probably one of the biggest games of our season. It's a make or break situation, to be very honest with you, right? And I'm sure the likes of Lisandro Martinez, or the ones who played in those previous derbies, they would also be thinking, you know what, we got humiliated at that time. A lot of people said a lot of things have changed. We have some old business to settle, right? And I'm sure Ten Hag would be telling that to his players. And I think with Palace, um, because it's so relentless, because it's so to and forth, and because you're playing a team like City, it it could be tricky. But I expect us to get a result. And again, with Arsenal, I mean, tell me who's the team which is beaten them this season. So I think we'll win this time around.
Our pathetic away record also is a big factor in the Arsenal game. Haven't won a Premier League game over there since 2017.
And I think
Uh,
with Arsenal, I mean, if they are going for the league, they would see. I mean, they would want to take 3 points against us, right? If let's just say if we if we go out there in the, if we go out there on Saturday and we win, Arsenal and probably Mikel Arteta would be thinking, you know what? Somehow, if I beat United and if I just make that gap a bit bigger, maybe we could have a chance, right? And maybe that vulnerability could give us a chance. Like in the previous game, Arteta thought he could go and finish the game, and Ten Hag just hooked him.
so, are we going to see a throwback of Ole football, the counter attacks against Arsenal? Because I think that is exactly what we did in the reverse fixture against Arsenal as well. We attacked them on the counter brutally, and we were clinical enough that we took our chances. But ever since that game, we've not been as clinical as we wanted to be. So I think taking our chances is going to be very very important because profligacy at this stage is going to bite us at the back. So you say we win all three, right, Weber? Yeah. Yes. Ojas bhai, what about you? What are your predictions for these three games?
Like, jokes apart, I feel Crystal Palace is a game that we win comfortably. And see, what I love the most about January is the important games that it is bring. Like, what a better chance to, just dominate English football in this month than defeating the two teams that are above you and somehow making a mark in the league that we are here to play. Think of the game like that. Don't take the pressure of, like we are playing the big guns, we are playing the team that is on the first position. Don't think like this. Think like this. This is an opportunity to leave the mark on the league. And if we are positive enough, if we are just focused enough, I don't think City and Arsenal can defeat us. Maybe there are some points dropped, but I really don't see defeat against these two teams. And against Crystal Palace, I don't believe that match will be close also. So
Fair enough.
if
Fair enough.
if this City game somehow just I just want this City game to really be a game that changes the mindset of everyone, playing that fluid game at the top. Like City and Arsenal are just thinking they're bossing the league. I just want them to, have a realization that there are teams that are coming for you.
Yeah, yeah, rightly said. I mean, even the Manchester agrees with your previous point that you made about mind games. Pep is already playing mind games. He said he has something planned for Tenag. I hope that it backfires for him. So the fact that Pep is, what does Pep have planned for him? Like it's a candlelight dinner or what? A table for two. What does he have planned exactly? I mean, he's talking like it's Valentine's Day and not the Manchester Derby. I mean, I don't understand what's going on here. So we have Anshuman Bhai with us. Anshuman Bhai, welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. Uh, yeah. So Anshuman Bhai, we were talking about the coming three games that United will be playing. We've spoken about the fact that United have moved forward in each of the stages of the cup competitions. That is the fourth round of the FA Cup and the semi-finals of the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. I'm sorry. We have three crucial games in the Premier League at this point: the Manchester Derby at home, we have Crystal Palace, and we have Arsenal away. And all the three teams we will be playing against, we do not have the best of records against them. Against Arsenal, it's our woeful record at the Emirates, not winning a game over there in the Premier League since 2017. Against Palace, it's been a case of basically being horrible against them out of all the teams. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, we have just won one game out of the last five competitions, five matches against Palace, which was the 1-0 against them at home last season when Ranić was Ranić's first game in charge. So I think that was the only game we've won against Palace in the last five fixtures. So that's how bad we have been against them. Anshuman Bhai, what are your expectations in this game? Do you see us winning all three? Do you see us winning two, drawing one? Do you see us? What are your expectations from these three games? And what do you think that if we end up winning all these three games, uh, do you set your sights higher than just a top four finish? Just an honest opinion.
Well, I can answer the second question before because even if we win all three of the matches, my sights will not be set any higher because when I started the season, my expectations were absolutely zero. I've said this, I've written about this as much as I can, and it has always been the same that all Eric Ten Hag needs to do this season is find a core in the system in the squad, a core of players that he trusts. He's been bringing players based on that only. And when you think about the kind of system that he's trying to set up, and look at the very basics of it. Like he wants his fullbacks to have control on the ball. He wants United to be less of a transition team and more of a possession-based setup. So all of those things, he's been going about it in a very gradual way, in a very organic, systematic way, and naturally those things are bearing fruit. So that was my expectation from the start of the season. That I just wanted to make sure that Ten Hag gets that. If that meant us getting no trophies, no Champions League football, that was fine by me because that is not the kind of expectations I had set. So based over the last couple of months, the kind of progress that we have had, the kind of football that we are currently playing is more akin to the type of setup that Ten Hag would like to have in the future. Although it's not his completely to his preferences because well, Casemiro is not the kind of number six that he would have had. He's enjoying him because he has a lot of qualities that he requires in his setup right now, which is a nice thing. And obviously, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is not the kind of fullback that he wants. And Diogo Dalot's injury is not really helping at the moment. That is definitely something we need reinforces in. David De Gea once again is not the kind of goalkeeper that he would want in his system, but he's making do. So the fact that he has been pragmatic is something that I've really liked. So again, basing on all of that, I have to say that my expectations remain absolutely the same that they were at the start of the season. That as long as he's comfortable, he's finding his feet under the table, and he is able to figure out a system in which way he wants to build United in the future seasons, I'm perfectly fine with us not for even ending up in the top four. As far as our performances in the next three matches is concerned, are we better equipped to handle Manchester City? Yes, we are, because their recent performance has not been as to the very top as they can be, and we are much more comfortable playing the way we are than we were the last time we met them. And there is an ocean's worth of difference in that, because Casemiro is a lot more settled in the midfield that we have now in place, like even Ericsson linking up with Casemiro, or even Fred linking up with Casemiro is quite much better. Having Anthony Martial in front alongside Bruno Fernandes in that setup is much better than having Cristiano Ronaldo up there. No two ways about that. And the kind of form Marcus Rashford is in, I think he has the Midas touch right now. Anything that he's touching is gold. And it's more of a purple patch that will not be sustained over a long period of time. But the conversion rate that he has right now makes me much more optimistic regarding the performance. We might as well lose against Man City, because let's be honest, it's Man City. It will be an equal affair, and they are much more. They have been much more consistent at this level than we have been over the past seasons, especially under Guardiola. So that those are the things that we need to keep in mind. Crystal Palace, like you mentioned, it is a bogey side for us, and we haven't really been particularly well even under Solskjaer's years. We have found it very hard, especially while going to Selhurst Park. So that is something that really does worry me. But you look at the recent performances that Manchester United have had, and the key thing to that sticks out for me is that we haven't really blown any teams apart. The results that we have had, even the 1-0 results that we have had, are very convincing, because in our defense we do not look like we are immediately going to just fall apart like a house of cards. So that confidence that we have, it's quite important for me going into the Crystal Palace match, because I think someone pointed this out before as well, that we might as well perform good against City and Arsenal, and will end up losing points, dropping points against Palace, which is very much a possibility. But yes, I think given the kind of performances United have been giving against team they are expected to beat. So they have been a lot more confident. They've been a lot more confident in their own ability to be able to figure out results, even if things don't exactly start their way. So that is something that really helps me out. And I think with the likes of Arsenal and Man City, the thing that is the common thread between the two of those sides is that they like fluid possession football. And it might look like a lot of chaos going on, because their players keep switching positions all the time and it looks too fluid, but it's a lot of ordered chaos. And Arteta has picked that up from Pep. He has added his own flavor to it. And Guardiola, we know that he has always been the kind of he has always been kind of a of a genius with the juego de posición. So that is not going to change. I don't really think that, given the kind of managers they are, they're not going to try to set up very pragmatically against Manchester against United, because that's not who they are. So I expect us to be more pragmatic. I expect us to go into those games trying to figure out how to nullify the attacks of those two teams, because that will be more important for us, and we are much more in a much more pragmatic situation to be able to figure that out. Can we beat both of these teams? Yes, we can. We beat Arsenal earlier in the season, and despite given the track record we have at the Emirates, I don't really think that is an out of the question thing, because Arsenal, despite doing very well and deservedly being at the top of the table, one thing that we have demonstrated is that they can start losing their mind a bit if these things don't start going their way. At least with City, they have this feeling about themselves that, okay, if things are not going for us, we'll keep trying, and something will become of it. With Arsenal, like we saw against the draw against Newcastle, their way Arteta uses his shit, and it transpires to the players as well.
Sorry to interrupt. I think I would have to be leaving because something came up. It was great to be part of your discussion and all that. Thank you so much, guys. Sorry to interrupt in the middle. Take care.
Sure.
No
Take care.
worries. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Yeah, Anshuman Bhai, you can continue. You were talking about the Palace game, if I'm not wrong. You don't know, you were talking about the difference between City and Arsenal. Yeah, you can pick up them.
Confidence about themselves in order to be able to come back to games. And Arsenal don't necessarily have that. They can, and they have demonstrated as such as well. But temperament-wise, they are a lot more fickle than Manchester City are. So that is something to keep an eye out for, because if we can get a foot into the game early, we have tendency to frustrate Arsenal, and that can later on work out in our favor. That doesn't necessarily mean that they won't be able to come back into the game. It just means that will give us a psychological edge in game. So again, my expectations going into these three matches is that Manchester United can win all three matches. They don't necessarily have to. If they end up in three draws, I'll be more than happy with it. If they end up in defeats, there'll be lessons to pick up from. But like I entered this season having absolutely zero expectations, and every defeat, every draw that happens is a lesson learned for us. And every victory that is happening needs to be taken with a pinch of salt, because people have started putting us into the discussion of title race as well, which, as far as I'm concerned, is something we don't really need to think much about. We should be completely distancing ourselves from that. If we end up being in a title race, more than fine, but that is not our priority right now. Our priority is to become more of a consistently performing team at the at the top echelons of the Premier League, which is something that we haven't been.
Yeah, I mean, you've put the entire situation rather expertly, uh, talking about learning from mistakes, going step by step, taking each game at a time. I think that is what should be our entire focus right now. With that being said, a warm welcome to the stream, Dublin Games. Hope you're doing well. Moses says that City just ransacked Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. I mean, with all due respect, Chelsea are 10th. So yeah, that's your answer. Nothing up, no cause to worry. Uh, so Kushagra says that the City game won't be a deterring factor. Fair enough. So Manchikushna says that the eagle-eyed football is a fantastic Crystal Palace channel, which could give us a better insight, and they are not confident about this match against United, is what the Manchikushner thinks. Although this has been a recurring theme in every season that whenever a team is in crisis, they somehow and always turn up against us out of all the teams. I don't understand the logic why exactly, but for some reason they always find us to turn up against, and they put in performances of a lifetime and then again go back to being shit. So I don't understand what the obsession is with turning up against us is, but it is what it is. With that being said, I think we've covered almost everything there is. Anshuman, by quick predictions on the Manchester derby. Score predictions.
Okay, if I'd be slightly optimistic given our form and cities, and say a 2-win victory to us.
Rather strong prediction. Would love to see that, whether it pans out or not. I'm pretty certain that we're gonna keep a clean sheet this game. But at a certain stretch in the game, I could feel like if it is going to be an inkling of a draw somehow, I think Eric Ten Hag is going to stick to his guns and maybe try to safeguard the game rather than going for the jugular at this stage of the season. So I'm going for a goalless draw, where we also keep a clean sheet and they also end up keeping a clean sheet. Saimbai, what is your prediction for the Manchester derby? Quick prediction. The scoreline prediction.
United.
3-1.
Rashford brace.
Wow. I think yes, I'm going to make Rashford as captain, and if anything goes wrong, Saim bhai, I know who to call and who to talk to. So if Anshuman bhai, if you play FPL, then Saim bhai has already given us a rubber stamp that Rashford is going to score in his next home game and break the record of scoring in consecutive home games by a Man United player. So you might as well bank on it and just make Rashford as your captain, if at all you are an FPL, if you're an FPL connoisseur like me. And if at all that things go haywire, you know who to contact. He's sitting right next to you on stream. You know where to go. So, Ojas bhai, what are your predictions for this game?
I think see not a clean sheet for anyone, and I see United edging this in 3-2 victory.
What? City edging it or United?
United edging it.
All right. Moses says that he has a weird feeling Pep in his funny plans might lose and ask City to give him an open checkbook in the remainder of the month. I mean, when things go wrong, might as well call Daddy Shake. And I think by the end of this season, we also hope that we have a Daddy Shake or a Daddy Habib or whoever is the consortium that comes to buy us, whether it's Kuwait, whether it's Bahrain, or whether it's Dubai. Based on the surname, we can also have a daddy who can give us an open checkbook as and when we require. So Munawar bhai in his prediction in the chat has given us a 3-all draw. Wow, that's going to be that would be a spectacle to watch, a 3-all draw. With that being said, we are now approaching the end of the stream. We've spoken a lot that has been covered. We spoke about the games, that have happened. We spoke about certain players who've made renaissances. We've spoken about the month and how important this is in defining us as a team. And we've spoken about the predictions and the upcoming games as well. Thank you so much, Anshuman Bhai, Ojas Bhai, and Saeed Bhai for joining me in the stream. It was a pleasure talking to you guys and getting to know your expertise and your insights on the current situation that is going on at the club at the moment. There are bright clouds. It's a good time to be a United fan at the moment, and we as United fans hope that this continues for a long time. Oh my God! I think this is a prediction that we would like to put money on. So Moja sir says that it's a 3-3 game, and Fred scores the winner in the 95th minute. But my question to you, gentlemen, is: does he score the winner for us, or does he score the winner for them?
What if it happens as it happened in PSG, like it's going to 2-2 and suddenly we are awarded a penalty at the last minute of the game?
Exactly. That would be a storybook ending to a derby. I mean, we've had a lot of one-sided derbies over the years.
I
This
think then the real rivalry will start. When this
exactly.
happens,
Yes,
then the
yes.
rivalry will start.
Precisely. So, with that being said, guys, thank you so much to each and every one of us for you all for joining in the stream, watching us, and putting out your predictions, your thoughts throughout. Do like, share, and subscribe our channel. We are churning out content on a very consistent basis, and we would love to have you on board with us as a speaker as well as a listener as well. It would be great if you all would join us. Helps us a lot. We are always active on our Instagram and on our Twitter page as well. You can go ahead and give in and drop us a follow there as well. And apart from that, we are also active on our WhatsApp group. I say this on every stream, and I will say this today as well. Every day is match day on our official WhatsApp group. You do not want to miss an opportunity to be there. Apart from that, it's the big game. It's the Manchester derby. It's once again the bragging rights for Manchester are at stake. Will Ten Hag's Red Devils get one over Pep Guardiola's Blue Devils? So that remains to be seen. Whether on the result is unknown, but what is known is that we can have a brilliant time together. MUFC Red Devils NCR are organizing a screening for the Manchester derby on the 14th of Jan. It's in Smash Dwarka, if I'm not mistaken. Saying by.
Yes.
Yes, it's at Smash Dwarka. Do join us in large numbers so that we can make this a memorable screening experience and a win to top that off. And apart from that, we also have a website which you can go ahead and check out. A lot of cool stuff there as well. With all that being said, this is Delvin once again, along with Anshuman Bhai, Ojas Bhai, and Saeed Bhai, wishing you all a good night. Goodbye. Do take care of yourself, and we will see you very soon next time.
Bye, guys.